Hello, 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 and welcome. This is Ozioma Igwanwu with the Reimagine podcast, and today I have the special honor of speaking with my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Rama, who is the founder of the Theater of Transformation Academy. Rama, welcome.
Thank you. What a joy to be with you for this special session of World Dream Day on Reimagine.
So glad to have you. And so this conversation is going to be one where we get to hear about your journey. We get to hear about your ideas, your goals, your dreams. And most importantly, we get to hear about what you believe needs to be reimagined in the world and how your project is supporting that transformation. So why don't we get started by just hearing a little bit about who you are and what you're about and what you're reimagining in the world.
Wonderful. I would love to do that. And I love the theme Reimagine because it speaks so much to my journey and it speaks so much to the Theater of Transformation Academy that we've created together with partners, collaborators, dreamers, reimaginers, and realizers like you yourself, Ozioma. Just like World Dream Day and now World Dream Week came into being because of your passion and your conviction that a dream can indeed become reality. That's really the story, I guess, of my life and of the Academy. So let me just start with the Theater of Transformation Academy. Our website is theateroftransformation.org. And what the Academy really is about is championing the emerging power of humanity, the creative power of humanity to shape our shared future. So it's really about, can we get into that space where, yes, we accept the realities, we witness the realities of today, we recognize everything that's falling apart, and as we dramatically accept our responsibility to not just be bystanders or passers-by, but to be witnesses, to stand up and take a step forward, we open the portals of not just imagination, but reimagination. We've lost our capacity to imagine. Our capacity to imagine has been limited. So really, I think you've put your word on it with reimagination. And so what Theater of Transformation Academy does is provide the space and the transformative process, drawing upon powerful methodologies of transformation drawn from the human potential movement and social artistry of Jean Houston, drawn from conflict transformation and strategic leadership of Scylla Elworthy, drawn from my own work over the last 30 years in peace building, rebuilding justice after war and genocide, and in global governance and transformative leadership. So really an agglomeration of these transformative methodologies so we can recognize, witness reality, and then reawaken possibility. Reimagine not just the realities we face today, but the very paradigms underlying and perpetuating these realities. So we can re-envision our vision for transformation, which means not just having a vision out there, but actually pulling the vision into ourselves, shedding light on our gifts, and having the courage to step into our shadows, into our challenges, and recognize their hidden strengths. And so that most importantly, like you've done with the whole the World Dream Day movement, how can we enact transformation from that space of magnetized, reimagined, re-envisioned visioning? How can we enact transformation by creating an ecosystem of allies in our communities and around the world, across sectors, across economic and cultural backgrounds, across borders, one could say, which we can transcend through our shared commitment to enact transformation. So in a nutshell, Theater of Transformation Academy has grown from this dream, this pursuit of the goal of transformation in the midst of crisis, into a transformative community of people across all backgrounds, across all social and cultural circumstances, all professions, to say, yes, we can become actors and enactors of transformation if we dare to step into reality and reimagine what the world and our own lives could be.
So powerful. Thank you so much for that. Just helping us kind of get into the understanding of what's informed it. What I'm really interested as well, because we know that, a lot of times we see the finished output, right? It's almost like presented on a platter to us. Here's my project. Here's what it is. But tell me a little bit about what was that internal journey? What did it actually take to begin and to step fully in? And when I say what did it take, I'm talking about what are some of those internal, attitudinal, behavioral shifts that you had to make in order to create and co-create this amazing initiative and community that's being built around how do we approach transformation from a almost holographic, right, hologrammatic perspective, like a full, integral, holistic, dynamic, creative approach. But tell me, and we want to hear this, what was that journey like? What were some of the ups and downs, as well as some of the flying beyond, what you thought was possible? We want to hear more of that.
I would love to share that. Where it started off, well, where does it start off? I think that what's really important when I think of my own journey and when I'm accompanying people in stepping into and reimagining their dreams, to go back to where they came from. And in my case, I grew up in India. And that was so important for what has become the Theatre of Transformation Academy and my own dream, my own reimagination process, because that was where the reality around me became too unbearable for me to just sit quiet and not do anything about it, which was, yes, the reality of a country, a culture that I loved. I felt joy to be part of, but also a culture that broke my heart, a politics that broke my heart, a society that broke my heart by not being able to understand how people who had the capacity to be so loving, so deeply grounded, so wise, could at the same time be so unjust, be so inhumane, and not recognize the harm that they were causing. So a profound desire to find out ways to transform how individual behaviors and attitudes could be changed, and how in parallel we could change systemic behaviors and attitudes, systemic policies and practices, which then perpetuated individual behaviors. So that's where my passion, I thought it was simply a passion for peace and justice, but I realized over time it was really a passion for what is it that makes individuals transform, and what is it that could lead our societies to transform. That's where it began. But what I do want to share in responding to your beautiful question of what were the ups and downs is that seemed kind of clear as a child, because the reality was in my face and every day was a reminder of why I was here on earth and what my passion was. I had the great good fortune then to get, at the age of 18, a wonderful, very generous scholarship from a university in the US. And I left India for the first time with my first passport and my first stamp for the United States of America. And I want to add that because in that period of time, as a young scholar who wanted to bring about political change, I got estranged, not just from my dream, and I want to say this because of the theme of your World Dream Day, but from my capacity to reimagine what the world could be. I did become a very accomplished, I guess, policy advocate and peacemaker and so on through my academic background and all of my work in peace building and global governance. But along the way, I was losing that creative capacity, and with it also, I would say, my humane capacity. Luckily, I had two huge wake-up calls, which came much later in the end of 1990, the beginning of 1999 and the middle of 2000. And that was when first I realized that the conflict that I was seeking to resolve outside in the world, all conflicts begin within ourselves. This was my first realization, which had to be the first one, because any change to reimagine and recapture our dreams has to begin within. So my first big wake-up call was in the beginning of 1999, where just as I was completing actually this academic thesis for my PhD at Cambridge on restoring justice after genocide and violent conflict, ding, I had this recognition. Conflict is here. Our enemy as Lao Tzu puts it, is a shadow we cast ourselves. And that completely shifted me from the inside out and changed my attitude to everything I did in the world. And thank God, because then after my PhD, when I went to work as an advisor on conflict and peace building, working across the Horn of Africa and then across all of Africa and Africa's conflicts, very soon working with local communities and going back and forth from local communities to policymakers at international conferences across Africa and at the UN, I realized that local people have not lost that capacity to reimagine, even and especially in the midst of conflict. And when I see, Ozioma, what you've done, for example, when the girls were kidnapped by Boko Haram, it's exactly that. Women, mothers may be desperate, but when their children are taken away from them, their creativity and their humanity explodes. And it was that, that kind of going back to the cradle of civilization in country after country in Africa, where we at the West look at it as countries that are ripped apart and have nothing left. Neither humanity nor creativity. And time and again, I would discover that sitting under a tree with local communities, with women, with elders, with young people. And that reignited my dream. It's been a long journey since then, a lot of inner journeying and outer journeying. And yet again, I have to share that it was another crisis which led to my actually coming closer to the vision of what's become Theatre of Transformation Academy. So yes, I had this dream that it is about the power of art, the power of storytelling, the power of humanity that doesn't die, but actually gets even stronger in the midst of crisis. The power of communities, as you've seen, Ozioma, that when we have crisis, communities don't tear each other and themselves apart. They come together. They share the little they have. And that's the power of communities in crisis. So I had that and I pursued that in every conflict area that I worked in, meeting with people, artists, ordinary communities to understand what made them tick, what made them transform and not give up. But after that, it was really another crisis when I went to head an organization in Sri Lanka. And just as we were beginning to take off and think we were having an impact, the conflict got much worse. And I got caught up in the dynamics of that conflict. And for various reasons, I had to actually take my son, who was then 12, and we had to flee the country. And yet again, what I realized was it was the solidarity, the love, the support, the courage, the simple humanity of people who would have to pay the price of solidarity because I escaped and they were still caught in the conflict. And whether they were locals or internationals, young or established, human rights advocates, they would then be targeted for helping someone and holding on to their truth to protect me in the midst of this crisis. And when I came back to Europe, it really made me reconnect with that dream and go deep into myself to not just understand how other people that I had been with and championed and supported, how did they use a crisis when they lost everything, almost their lives, to transform. I had to do it myself. And I can tell you, Ozioma, for 2.5 years, I had no clue. I had no clue that that was what was required of me, to turn really inwards and see if I was capable of not giving up or becoming even more hardened. Or was I capable of finding that light, that jewel that so many of the people that I had worked with had shown me that they had found in the midst of their despair? And when that jewel was found, it opened the path to so much more. It connected me to Scylla Elworthy, a peace advocate I'd worked with for a long time, to Jean Houston, who's also a close mentor of yours. And it was Jean Houston, really, who ignited the flame again and said, give voice to those voices that are trying to speak through you. And it was that little encouragement that led me step by step, with the help of many, many collaborators and co-creators like yourself, Ozioma, to create what has become Theatre of Transformation Academy, and a way of sharing the voices of people in all circumstances who don't give up in crisis, but look within themselves and find, as the slum women of Mumbai, Bombay, where I grew up, and whose stories I've enacted many times, as they say, we find our power within, our power with each other, and that gives us the power to change anything in the world. And that's really what Theatre of Transformation Academy has become, is my invitation, which has now become our collective invitation to everyone to step on the stage and to begin to find their power within so we can transform the very paradigm of power and reimagine and recreate a different world.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, wow, Rama. Just everything you said just truly reflects, the journey of dreaming and doing and reimagining. And then also the dark night of the soul. We've all had that. I've had it. And it's not easy. And just the way that you spoke about it really so elegantly depicts, underscores rather, the importance that at the end of that journey, there is a jewel waiting. And you are able to look at that beautiful wisdom and hold it up and let it emanate and light up the world with that wisdom, that insight, that treasure that you found that we can only find when we go within. So thank you for that. And so my other question, because you've kind of hinted at it, you've mentioned a couple of different insights or, deep learnings that you've gotten, that you've gleaned along the journey. But what would one particular, and if you could just speak about it just very briefly, what is one particular insight you learned that could help people in the process of bringing their dreams into fruition, into action? What is that one key insight that you feel people really have to know based off of what you've learned?
The one insight I want to share today, because I think it's a big one we need today, is can we recognize our own conditioning, our own suppositions, our own beliefs, which make us think both that the world, the system will never change, and doubts about ourselves that we think we can never change. And I shared this one because it's really been a process right now as we lead up to International Peace Day and World Dream Day, of recognizing this in myself, but recognizing this in people, which is, what is really key for me when we enter that stage, when we decide we're going to take a step to change something in our lives and in the world, and we are ready to reimagine what we call awakening possibility, what I've recognized is really important is to stop and say, yes, I'm ready. Now, what is holding me back? And so one step I would ask everyone to do who's watching this or at any time in your lives, first begin with the outer world. What are your beliefs about what will never change? The wars will never end. People will never give up arms. Ego will always be a problem. Write them down, the one that holds you back the most. Write it on a piece of paper and then see if you could crush it and either put it in a bin, or if that's too much for you, at least put it into a big file, right? Clap it into a file and keep it outside the door and give yourself that window of space where even if that belief is going to still be there, it's outside of you for now. But then when you've done that, that's the easier part. Look inside yourself and see what is the deepest, that, despite everything you've done to strengthen your confidence and trust in yourself and in the universe's support to your dream, what is that little niggling doubt or belief about yourself that holds you back? I'll give you an example very honestly. For me, it's a fear that I get lots of passion about a new project, but will I really be able to carry it through and then nurture it past that exciting takeoff stage? Okay? So I need to actually every time look at that and then hold it in my hand and say, yes, I will recognize that this is my weakness. I look in the eye and I hold it in my arms and I then put that aside and then I step in, because without doing that, it's as if our imaginal cells are actually cramped and they can't become wings. So for reimagination, that's key. And we are amazed, I'm amazed time and again, at how much these outer and inner factors hold us back. That would be my one key for today.
Yes, beautiful. No, I love the fact that you brought that to the forefront, because it's true. We have, limiting beliefs. We have, limiting beliefs about ourselves, limiting beliefs about what's possible in the world. And by being able to just address them and give them what they need, so that then we can proceed to move forward with what is required of us and what we feel excited to bring forth into the world. I know for me, one practice that I've been very committed to, that I discovered worked, is I write 3 to 4 pages every single morning. And just the process of waking up and being able to just get the creative flow going, it allows me to be so much more effective, so much more dynamic, and also so much more clear, because I've gotten my need for expression out, and now everything else can be more fully self-expressed, because almost like the cobwebs and the clutter have kind of been have been put in their place, and I can always refer back to them. So yeah, these practices that are creative practices, transformative practices, are essential. So, Rama, this has been the most amazing conversation. I've enjoyed it so much, and I want people to be able to know how can they connect with you further, to collaborate, to explore themselves, to explore your projects. How can people get in touch with you?
I would love people to get in touch with all of us, with me directly. You can write to me at Rama at Rama dash or hyphen money.com. Join our website, our young leaders, our emerging leaders, who are 5 amazing young people aged 25 to 30 from war-torn countries around the world, from countries in crisis, from Iran, from Egypt, from Kenya and northern Uganda, from Zimbabwe, and from Sri Lanka, are just launching a campaign to create a platform for your stories and visions. And it was really the vision of World Dream Day and the theme of Reimagine that set them on fire. So we really hope to be dancing with you, and they hope to be dancing with you and sharing stories back and forth with you. That's going to be launched on our Theatre of Transformation Academy Facebook page. So it's just Theatre of Transformation Academy. And join our website as well and send us your comments, which is www.theatreoftransformation.org. So I'm really looking forward. There's also a little bit more about my journey and background on my personal website, which is rama-money.com. So it would be great that you get in touch. I had hoped to share a poem with you, but I'm going to leave you with just the last words. Do I have time to share that, you think?
Absolutely. We
Yes?
love the gift of your poetry.
Oh, beautiful. Well, this is very meaningful for me. In the background, you may be able to see, and I'll be sharing with you a bit of the artwork of one of our very close collaborating artists who actually designed our beautiful logo. He's a graphic artist now in his 70s, William Kelly, who has won many, many awards for his peace and human rights work as an artist, which is what all of his work is devoted to. And we are launching, as a gift for World Dream Day and International Peace Day, a little collaborative dialogue of my poetry and his artwork. So I just share with you one poem, which goes like this. And I dedicate this to World Dream Day. A great war is gnawing in the jaws of men. The itch to battle is inebriating them again. They have snapped the bars of good sense. Their fingers caress the trigger in aroused readiness. Nothing can tether them as they break the bounds and race headlong towards mutual damnation. But the earth cannot endure this madness, and nor can we. We gather in hills and valleys. We gather in schoolyards and skyscrapers. We gather wherever we are, right now, right here. We who know this cannot, must not be. Together we hum the syllable of peace. Together, day and night and day, with unshakable intent. Soon we shall hear the clattering as their guns fall to the floor, as their missiles return to their hangars, as our resolve dissolves everything. Their determination to destroy each other and everything we know and love. Soon our worldwide whisper of peace shall soften their steely hearts. Soon we shall gather together to reimagine and recreate a world more beautiful in our collective dream. Thank you.
So beautiful, so beautiful, and so appropriate for the times that we're in. This energy of International, Peace Day, Day of Peace, World Dream Day, World Dream Week, the theme of reimagining the dream, the need for us to individually and collectively reimagine, redefine, reinterrogate the systems and structures, the conventions, the patterns that exist in and all around us, because that is the only way forward. I mean, when you think about what's happening right now in terms of the preparation for armed conflict, and this poem really does reflect the bridging of the gap between the peace movement, the dream movement, all of that. It's really one movement. To me, I say the dream of peace is the dream. That's the dream I'm always holding in my heart. And that's part of the reason why World Dream Day is so close to Peace Day, because we are collaborators in that energy and in that belief that that is the pathway that's going to transform everything. So thank you, Rama, for that beautiful poem. And thank you for your wisdom and for your words and for your honesty as you expressed what you're up to, as well as the journey that got you there. Is there anything else that you want to share before we close this reimagining session?
All I want to share is to thank you, Ozioma, for daring to dream day upon day, hour upon hour, morning after morning, year after year, and offering us this gift of World Dream Day and expanding it into World Dream Week so we can truly take the time to reimagine. Thank you. And we are proud to collaborate with you and champion this great movement.
Thank you, Rama. And so that's it. We are officially closed with the first reimagining session, and we are excited for everyone who's listening to explore some of the wisdom that Dr. Ramamani has expressed, and also to connect with her, online, as well as to join one of her seminars, one of her workshops, whatever it is. She's based in Geneva, but also very much a global citizen in many, many parts of the world. So please definitely go and discover and connect. Thank you so much for being available to watch and to engage this piece of content. And we know, and we also hope that it inspires, touches, and activates you. Until then, we look forward to hearing how your dreams are being moved into action and how you are reimagining yourself and our world. Thank you.